those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Within each and every role player lives this homeless character who wants nothing more than to quiet the heartbeat of every living thing that stands in his way. Today we celebrate this all too familiar character with...
Well now, looky here, it's the Murder Hobo Show.
Welcome to the Murder Hobo Show, episode 4. Bearcats, riffs, lies, and possibly some creature feature action. Recorded September 19th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, a.k.a. the Murder Hobo, and I am here with the big man himself, my favorite uncle, Uncle J. Raz, also known as Captain Colin. What's going on, Jay?
Not a whole lot there, Kid IBS. How you been? Or is it, no, you're, I'm Captain Colin, and you're, what, you're not Captain, or are you Major IBS? Or you might be just like major problems with your stomach. I forget. We have to analyze that again. It's going pretty good, man. How are you doing?
If we're going to analyze it, does that mean I get a colonoscopy by Dr. J?
That's only if you subscribe to my special Patreon, where I take care of things like that.
On your special Patreon page, do you give out like over the internet colonoscopy exams? Cup of tea,
Dude, it's a general general medical practitioner, or chirurgy, like we talked about last week. That's what it is. I handle, which we found out is French for surgery, which is awesome. But yeah, that's what I do. It's Uncle Jay's chirurgy van. Subscribe to my Patreon. That's what's going on.
Oh, okay. So you don't just like, it's not like Chatterbait where I could just like dial you up or whatever. And I do have 4K and I got some other things going on here too on my deal. I wonder if I can green screen my entire butt except for the hole. And then have you ever seen that YouTube thing with the orange guy? What is it? Annoying Orange?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about,
that.
right? And just the mouth part of the orange moves. Wonder if I could green screen my butthole so that just my butt makes the mouth, and then put it in the Annoying Orange and call him like gross green, and every time I make him fart, it'll be like I could talk, like my butt was moving.
Yeah, you can totally make that happen.
I think I'm onto something. I think that might be.
I think you are.
Yeah, the next $1 million idea.
I am not one to stifle your creativity. I'm saying I'll let you flourish. I'll let you flower and blossom.
Yeah,
I encourage this.
I feel like you letting me flower and blossom is gonna put me ended up in jail somewhere.
Right? Yeah, I'm just gonna encourage all this behavior and just it totally remain blameless. I'm like, no, he's a grown man. He's old. He's older than I am. I can't stop him.
Yeah, showing your butthole to all those 10-year-olds on YouTube is a great idea. You should totally do that.
Meanwhile, I got the FBI on speed dial.
Oh, wow. No,
I wouldn't do that to you, man. I wouldn't throw you under the bus like some co-hosts do their like some podcast co-hosts do their other ones. But I try to prop you up.
Wow.
Instead of, lay you low.
Instead of tearing me down.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. All right. Well, this is a podcast about role-playing games where we're going to ramble incoherently, in case you haven't noticed, in a veiled attempt to sound like we know what we're talking about.
Well, in this episode, Gary, I think we're going to talk about. Would you say it's ICRPG's new setting, or would you say it's more system agnostic, or it can be used for ICRPG?
I would say that it's one of them.
Either or. Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about Bearcats, which is could be right up your alley if you're into cool stuff. If you don't like cool stuff, you probably won't like it. I'm going to throw in a little Savage Riffs love. And then Gary's going to bring up a topic that I think is probably near and dear to his heart, and that's detecting lies and just how can you tell if an NPC is lying in your game? And if we have time, we're going to talk about a creature feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this week's creature feature, it's been sitting in the books here for some time, and I almost forgot what it is. Oh, it's the werewolf. The were creatures, the were critters. We'll possibly be talking about that if we can squeeze it in. So that's cool. So yeah, other than that, my man, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks? Actually, I should note that this podcast was actually recorded the last time we did the Fantasy Age one, but my complete idiotic stupidity, I did some work for the Wild Die, and after I posted it, I deleted all the Wild Die stuff and along with all my content. So this is actually a post recording that we're doing again. So if it sounds a little like we're laughing at jokes that we probably already heard, that might be the reason why. Oh, I'm gonna have to go kill a dog right now. I hear it.
I hear that guy. He's up to something. But no, since we last talked, I've been fooling around more with some modern age. We actually, with my group, we have characters created, and we're trying to get the adventure ran, but everybody went and fell sick right before we ran it. In fact, Big Matt, he took off and he started getting like allergies. You know, it's really bad around here right, this time of year. So other than that, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get that knocked out this weekend. But then I'm going to see how far this is going to go. In fact, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I might borrow some adventures from some other systems, like probably grab some old GURP systems and try to cannibalize that and use those for this modern age campaign that I got going on, which is essentially, if I haven't told you about that, the little premise of it is it's something I call the regulars. It's like, what if you were just some regular dude, living your life in the United States, and the next thing you know, you get called up and like, oh crap, you got to work for the CIA. You're obligated to work for them at the same time too. You have to keep your your regular routine and everything. Like, let's say if that happens, for some reason, CIA grabs Gary McCallum from across the border there, he has to maintain his his pimp lifestyle, and he can't reveal what's going on to his wife or anything like that too. Well, at the same time too, he's like a neck breaker for the CIA. That's sort of the premise of it.
Nice. That's fantastic. At first, I was getting like I did a commoners deal a while ago. There was some stuff with some commoners that was floating around the internet and whatnot there for a bit, and so I thought it'd be cool to make like a fantasy role playing game where you all start off as commoners. You're not heroes. You're just commoners. But you might have some kind of secret identity that you've picked up or evolved, or maybe that's what got you into the trouble in the first place. So you've got a barmaid that I made an alchemist. And so she mixes drinks, like a little bit of a mixologist kind of a thing. And that's how she goes about creating these concoctions that imbue her with abilities, like dragon's breath. She would sip it and be able to like blow out like a flamethrower kind of a thing. I had the general store guy. He had a gadget that he was a coin dispenser, and he could like it was a magic item that would allow him to like shoot bolts of coins, whatever he put in it, kind of a thing. You just click. Most people probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but like it's like a belt buckle, and you put these stacks of coins in it, like a roll of coins, and then you press a little lever to dispense the coins. Can't remember. I had some other dudes that were in there that were pretty cool. The mayor was like an ex-military sort of commander, so he had all those abilities and stuff. And yeah, there was a whole adventure that I built. In fact, I've run it before inside of Fantasy Grounds, but that's enough of that malarkey that I got going on there. So yeah, anyways, I'm a fan of the commoners thread. Come to think of it, that's where I was going with that little gist.
Yeah,
so cool.
You made the comment one time of talking about like you would play as a plumber, with your plumber's crack hanging out there, and you could like, drop a little incendiary device down the tubes, and as soon as somebody goes to take their morning constitutional, pow, and then you run out and then blow up their house and everything. So yeah, just imagine it's something like that. That's kind of the appeal, is hiding in plain sight. That's sort of what kind of drew me to the to inspire to do this little campaign that I got.
Mm-hmm. I'm packing about a week's worth of plumber's crack back there, so I could we could LARP, and I'd be qualified.
If we were, that's the thing though. I don't really LARP because what am I going to do that's going to make myself even more dorky in real life? Like, I'm trying to clean myself up, man. I'm trying to make myself less dorky. Like, I can't really publicly do that. What are you going to do? I'm
going to have Owen Lean on here. He was a big LARPer. We'll get him on here and he'll set you straight about how cool LARPing is. You can run around and you could be like, I'm Uncle Jay playing Vampire Dracula. I want to suck your blood, or for $5, something else.
Oh, Oh yes, I see where you're going. I'm not listening to that.
Okay.
So
I meant like your drink, like have a sip of your beer. Kind of. I don't know where you were going with that, but so how was modern age character creation? Was it fairly painless? Like you got the gist of it now?
it's kind of fun because you just roll the dice and then you assign, which assigns a point value, which you drop into your abilities there. And I did let, and they were actually really good about it too. They, they went with rolling. Okay, if they got a 0 on what they wanted, they actually stuck with it. And I did let them move. In the rules, you say you can move a couple of ability scores around, and I let them do that. And so everybody was really happy, and everybody it turned out really well. Now the dice did change some people's perspective with some things, but I think in a good way too, where some people had some ideas about their character, or when they start rolling on their backgrounds and start rolling on their social classes and starts assigning these different values that they didn't think of, then they kind of pick up a new idea and run with that. So I thought that was kind of cool. Sister, for one, she was going to make a Native American like park ranger like tracker, but just because she rolled so high on the on the social rolls, now that she's a South Asian casino and like resort owner / bounty hunter who decided, she was going to give up the family fortune and go into bounty hunting.
That's cool, dude. That's actually pretty slick.
So yeah, it kind of, you can still have the good concept, but this will help you flesh it out a little bit more, where you might have an idea, but this will kind of like put the point on that idea that you might have had.
Nice. Now, we were talking about stunts, and it came up that there's like a 40% chance that you're going to have to roll on stunts. So here's my question. Have you had a chance to look around to see if there is maybe like a table of like 100 stunts or something like that? Because, for flavor and whatnot, have you found anything along those lines?
What I did end up finding out is I went ahead and pulled the trigger because we ended up talking about Fantasy Age so much that I ended up buying the campaign builders PDF, the companion, and also the bestiary. I just bought the other 3 main books just to check them out, just to see what they're all about. And the campaign builder's guide is fascinating because it shows you all the probabilities that you need to roll and what the percentage you're going to get with your stunt points. With all that, they don't necessarily. In the companions, there's a big list. In fact, there's a list of I want to say 20 stunts, but they're general stunts that can be used. They can be used in any situation. Like you can take these template of 20 stunts and you can take them and apply them anywhere else. Sort of like a building stunts, or like building edges or building feats in Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. It's sort of like a template for that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it was pretty neat when I was reading up on the stunts and stuff like that. But they did seem to be pretty generic, and I was just kind of wondering if it got like, or if I could see it getting bland and people looking for maybe more ideas. But that's one of the cool parts about being like a do-it-yourselfer sort of a deal. You just write down your own stunts. Mm-hmm. Start accumulating a list of your own deals.
Yep, and it seems with every book that's coming out, or every new. Every new incarnation with with like the Expanse taking using the age rules, or what it seems like each setting has its own different set of stunts too. So it's not just you're not just going to get the fantasy style stunts that across the board. Like when you're playing the Expanse, you're going to get a set of stunts that are specifically branded for that setting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Nice. Mm-hmm. So that's your game's going to happen this weekend, then. That's your modern age game that you're going to be working on.
Yep, that's modern age for. That's what we're gonna. I'm gonna see how far we're gonna get with that, and then I'm gonna see. Then we're probably gonna go back to my baby, like my true love. I'm gonna say what brought me to the dance here with Savage Worlds, and that's Savage Rifts with everything that's coming out now. I pretty much talk my players into go into Rifts. We haven't done this group. This group hasn't done Rifts a whole lot, just a couple of players. But we're going to do a lot of the new stuff with all the new play stuff, test stuff that's coming out.
Oh man, I so want to get in on some of that action. I'm looking forward to. I was talking this morning. Matt Stark canceled some of his games. I had a bit of a chat with Eric and stuff like that. We were talking about maybe hitting up some different cons and stuff like that. Chupacabra cons down near Austin. And I'm pretty sure that Sean Robertson, the writer of Rifts, is in Austin. I do recall him I was giving him the gears about his book better be good or everybody's going to come after him. And he's like, yeah, he doesn't care. He lives in Texas, kind of a thing, right? So I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he lives in Texas. And if ChupacabraCon's in Austin, that would be, how badass would that be if I could set up a game with Sean Robertson and invite myself over to his house, and I'll invite myself over for a sleepover and cuddle in his bed. Right.
Yeah. Wear his underwear, when he's not there, wear one of his shirts when he's not there, and maybe just sleep in the bed and get your scent all over it,
right?
Or get his scent all over you. You know how that happens.
So I figure we'll play a little one-on-one riffs. He can open my portal.
Yeah, ChupacabraCon. I tell you what, if you guys are talking about doing that, I will take any excuse to go back to where I used to live, and that's right north of Austin, Texas, man. Any chance I get to go back to Austin, I will take that chance.
It's pretty sweet.
Take that. I love it, man. It's a great place.
I think Digital Dave is down there too. I think he's in El Paso. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, what if I could fly down there and hook up with one of those two guys and do some old school D&D or something like that, would be pretty sweet. Anyways, speaking of which, I got the Essentials kit a while back. It's on for $12. Have you picked it up yet? Ordered it? You got your copy on the way?
I haven't picked it up yet. Now let me ask you this, because I'm sort of curious. Now this is a totally different product than the old or the starter set that came out, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Starter set had Mines of Phandelver in it, had some other stuff, but the Mines of Phandelver is probably like one of the best written adventures. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. At least it was for me. I had a lot of fun running it. It leads off into a lot of different places. You've got like a cavern crawl where you got to go get some goblins. You're doing a quest. It works down to, and it's some kind of like meteorological crystal. Pool of Radiance. Pool of Radiance. I knew it would come to me. So anyways, I forgot what I was talking about there. Or no, wait a second. So yeah, in the starter set, it sort of ties into this Pool of Radiance thing that comes back up. There's some of that stuff in there too. This one is all new, has magic cards, has a bunch of other stuff. There's like a 64-page sort of starter rule set in it. The reason I bought it was for the dice. To be quite honest, I might play the adventure. It's got a map by Mike Schley, double-sided, which is pretty good. But the dice was the clincher, because it comes with 4d6. I think it comes with 2 20-sided die, so that you could roll advantage or disadvantage at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Just 2 20s. That's how it works, kind of a deal. But yeah, the dice set is like a complete all-in-one matching set of dice, and I'm like, you could get it for $12. I paid 20 something now, so I mean, you can't go wrong, right? It's got cards for sidekicks. It's got cards for magic items and some other things in it. Yeah, so man, $12. You're not a big D&D guy though, right? Don't you like wipe your bum with D&D?
Not really. I've not been exposed to it a whole lot. In fact, I play in a 5e game. I got 2 groups that I play with. One that I GM with on occasion, and one that I GM with my sister and my nephew and some other family members. But no, I play in 5e. Just that 5e is really the only thing that I've really been exposed to a whole lot, because I've always played something else a little bit differently. But if this is, here's the thing: if you get 6 dice for $12, and you get like these double-sided maps. Now, are these maps already printed, or are they just like? Yep,
they're already printed, man. It comes with 64-page rulebook, Dragon of Ice Spire Peaks, which is an introductory adventure. Double-sided poster map, the Dungeon Master screen, 6 blank character sheets. I don't know why you need 6 blank. One would do, just get a photocopy of your dummy. 11 polyhedral dice. So you got your 4 4d6, all your other ones, and I think 2d20s. And then 81 cards describing magic items, sidekicks, and more for $12.
That's
right?
You know what? I would pull the trigger on something like that. In fact, hold on. Look over there. I'm not totally going on my Amazon cart right now and throwing that in there. Yeah, for $12, I don't think you could pass that up.
Look at this. Those lovely sack of dice.
Yeah, or lovely sack.
Speaking of dice, did you? It's been all across the internet today because of the D&D craze that's going on. Did you see that truck or something like that Oh, I just dropped my set on the
Oh,
ground.
right down the road. Yeah, right down the road for me in Hotlanta, man, where all those Chesic dice just took a big nasty tumble.
Nice. You should go cruise down there and see if you can't pick some up. There's got to be one somewhere, and then you could have it, and you'd be like a token kind of a thing.
I don't know. I don't know. That seems a little hoarded, like hoarding to me too. Like just finding, one person's dice, could be finding trash on the side of the road. So,
All right. Well, moving on. $12 on Amazon for the Essentials kit, man. You can't go wrong. I played some
deal.
ICRPG Sunday morning. I think I'm more like 5 or 6 sessions into my ICRPG campaign. The more I play it, the more I love it. But man, I was rusty on Sunday. I was screwing up how the cave ropers worked. I was right back to my old habits of stepping on the player's creativity. And what I mean by that in ICRPG, because you set the scene number, the player knows when they roll the dice whether they succeed or fail, and they can narrate because the scene number's right there, which I just love about it. But of course, as soon as they fail, here I am, old school D&D, old school DM, and I'm just like right in there. Well, this is what happens, kind of a thing, right? So it was a bit of a gong show. I rolled them back into town. I wasn't going around in order like I was, and when I got right back to town, I immediately like railroaded them into the next adventure, which is like looking in this lighthouse. And now I think on Sunday, I got to do some retcon action where I pull the wheels off the train here, take a step back, and ask each of them what they do while they're in town, and maybe put a little bit of space, a couple of days in they can spend in town, because I got one of them's building a brothel, the other one's building a lighthouse, and a third one is trying to build like a house, a tree house, like this in the lumberyard kind of a thing, and they're never going to be able to get that done if I just keep like, okay, right on to the next adventure. So yeah, I was kind of on the suck. I'm a little bit disappointed. So hopefully Sunday we'll sort of do a bit of a reset coming up here, and I got 2 more games, and then it's off to Con on the Cob.
There you go, man. Hopefully this will energize you, and the fact that you can go back and reevaluate what you've done. I mean, that's the sign of a good GM right there. Anybody who can take a step back and see what they, the mistakes they made, and roll with it and do better. There you go. That's all you can do, right? Or you can, or you can just flip the damn table and pack your shit and pack your stuff up and go.
I could flip the table.
I don't think you're gonna be a baby. I'll hold you in a higher regard than that. You're not gonna wuss out on me like that. You're gonna give it another go.
I could flip the table. It is Tabletop Simulator. Speaking of which.
That's true.
If you're listening to the podcast and you're not aware, I do run a YouTube channel where I showcase videos, or I don't showcase videos. I take maps that you can find on the internet because I am not an artist, and I convert them into Tabletop Simulator and make them sort of like 3Dized kind of a deal. Murder Hobo Show on YouTube. Check it out. I've recently probably gotten like 30 new subscribers. I'm at a whopping 385, man. I'm like almost like PewDiePie style right here. I'm rolling.
I'm thinking like you and Matt Colville and all these others like Matt Mercer and all these other guys, man. And like you're up there. You're one of these RPGs luminaries now.
That's exactly right.
You're like the style and profile and RPG style. That's you.
I walk down the street and people look at me and they're like, and that's what I get. And then, yeah, because I'm famous, man.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's get on to the show. We've been rambling on here for 20 some odd minutes. I think we covered the basics of what we're doing and what's happening. Let's go redo the bits that I deleted. Oh, what was that?
That was my little like segue music.
Oh. What are you, sound effects guy now?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what happens. You put a mic in front of me, I feel like I'm the guy from Police Academy. I gotta go. Bop, 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 bop.
Wow. All right, Uncle Jay. Here we go, buddy. Once again, let's do this all over again. Let me ask you a little question, my friend. You like some Red Dawn?
when you talk about Red Dawn, are you talking about the 1984 movie starring Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey?
It's exactly what I'm talking about. You like some alien invasions?
Man, who does not like an alien invasion?
I especially dig the probes. They're kind of my favorite, but we'll leave it at that. You like system neutral settings?
Dude, the neutraler, the betterer. That's what I've been saying for a long time now.
Did you say neutered? The neutered?
I tried to say the neutraler, the
Oh.
betterer, and I don't know how that came out. So
Nice. All right. Well, have I got a setting for you, my man?
Okay.
This came up on Patreon. If you're not a patron of Runehammer Games, I suggest you go over there and sign up because, man, this guy pumps out some stuff that will blow your freaking mind. It is probably, and I've said it before, the most worth it patron that I have. It's very cool. So let me tell you what you got going on here. We got this setting called Bearcats. In Patron, it came up that he threw out the question, what would you like to see from me? What kind of products can I put out there for you? And so the overall vote was basically a system neutral new game. And he came up with this idea based on Red Dawn type style game with alien invasions instead of the Ruskies. The Ruskies, it sounds like brewskis, like beers invading, but not, right? So,
nope.
And so this cool little adventure, basically the Bearcats is a system neutral campaign setting for your favorite tabletop RPG. So you can play this in D&D, you can play this in Savage Worlds, you can play this in ICRPG. You just have to do a little bit of do-it-yourself kind of work, and you're off to the races. This takes place on a colony called Terra Colony 3. It's been there for about 40 years. And since they've been here, they've been building things. Now, this takes place circa right now, our current time zone, maybe 20th century kind of feel to it. So you've got like buses, there's no hovercrafts and things like that, but there is sort of cool alien tech and stuff like that. Generally, it's gas-powered vehicles. These people are miners and, they're just setting up a colony and stuff like that. But it's a 20th century colony. And then the invaders attack. They have a tiny bit of a militia. There's a couple other outposts that are mentioned but never really brought up in the game. And the aliens start sending down some pods, man. Lands right in the middle of town. Kaboom. Blows the place up. Out pops the aliens. They start blasting the military apart, taking over the town. Their whole point is utter annihilation. Pretty sweet, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm getting like goosebumps on the back of my neck, like just listening to it. And I'm taking a look here at the PDF, and I'm already getting this. This is a mountain, a mountain town vibe, even though this takes place in a different planet, different colony. You get the sense that this is, this could be in Colorado, or this could be like in Utah, or like in the western part of the United States, or somewhere in that area. Kind of rural, surrounded by pine trees and everything like that too. And it looks like it's nestled a little bit away from from the main part of population, and it just looks like it's ripe for something to happen.
Mm-hmm. It gives you that whole sort of Red Dawn feeling, small town USA kind of a thing, right? So you got a high school, you got a market, you got a couple of different places that are in here. You got like some farms, there's an emergency station, a water tower, chapel, just your regular small town kind of stuff, right? So this starts off with you guys being in the school. The aliens landed, they did some blasting. The school is on the outskirts of town, and that's why you're sort of safe. Now, one of the cool features about this is how you started off. You basically started off by rolling 4d8. And the higher the number, the better things are for you. So the state of things is the first one. The town will either be in flames and the invaders are approaching the school, or the Bearcats are totally unnoticed. You played the Bearcats. That's where the name comes from. The Bearcats is the mascot of the school. So if the next roll is the survivors. It says 12 people are all that's left of Fairview, or if you roll really well, remarkably few were killed in the invasion. So this helps you build a pool of who's who and who can help you do, sort of cool things. Maybe you got some crazy old cat lady or something like that, but this old broad, she's like a sharpshooter back in the day or something, right? You go get old Grandma Nestle there, and she comes out and just she's got this old 50 caliber that she's been saving. You know what I mean? It's just, it gives you a bigger pool of people, or maybe it's a little harder and you ain't got nobody left, but little Wanda on her tricycle, who you're going to use for fodder to get away, right? You just push her out and kick her down a little bit. There, she's only 5. She's not missing nothing, right?
Right. Yeah. What you know about life?
Right. It'll be over soon enough, sweetie. Don't worry. You got equipment, so the survivors have almost nothing, or military and invader tech are abundant. And there's these are just the broad ranges. And then lastly, it's the enemy. You either have a huge invader force, or just a skeleton crew patrols the town. Now, the gist of the whole game is to take out the invaders. Just like Red Dawn style, you're doing scouting missions and things happen, and it is built like a plot point campaign. So you got he's laid it all out, playing the leader. You got you're at the school, you're building your characters and stuff like that. And you've got the kid, the teacher, the soldier, the rebel. The rebel is actually one of the alien techs that sort of flipped his switch and is turned. He's like a turncoat, right? And the mechanic. And each one of these has some stats. And so, if you wanted to put, say, the rebel into your D&D game or something like that, he's got a toughness that's really high. And it's just min-max. There's no numbers attached to it, which is kind of cool. So okay, he's going to be really strong, right? He's going to be mediocrely smart. He's not going to have a fast dexterity or a high dex. He's okay at shooting weapons, and he's very tech savvy. So you just, you throw those in where they appropriately fit in your campaign, and you're off to the races with this guy. Give him some hit points, and bada bing, bada boom. Each one of these, I want to call them archetypes, has certain things that you again roll a d8 on and can do better or worse at. That's how you sort of set your character up to be either good or bad, kind of, or to give them traits is what it is. And pages of those, the soldiers in there, the rebel, every one of them has different skill sets and different things that you can roll to sort of fine tune your character a little bit. Another one of the pages that's in here is the guns. So you got some different guns and stuff like that. Now I'm generally going to start them off with basically just regular pistols, that kind of thing. Maybe some Uzis, maybe some flamethrowers. That's going to be about it. Now, why they would have an RPG, maybe the aliens would have it, but I don't see why the kids would have it. But you can get some pretty cool stuff. So there's gears and, sort of treats and stuff like that. But once you start smashing these invaders, it's tech time, baby. It is tech time. Energy cannons, magnet guns, power armor, atmospheric helmets, duranium-bladed rip swords, fusion cores, jump repulsors, and shield modules. You're starting to get some serious freaking loot and some serious gear, which is pretty cool. And then, as you sort of progress through it, there's a little bit about what you know. Tells you about the alien invaders without really going into too much detail. You've got the jugger, the relay, this little spider guy that shoots around. There's a tank character, and a couple of sort of boss guys. And you just piece them together and build your little attack pods kind of a thing. Your scouts, your groups or whatever. And maybe you got to go down to the market to get some rations or something like that. And you got yourself like a relay sitting outside there that's pumping information back. As soon as the thing spots you, it's going to call for recon, and that's when shiz is going to get real. So it's kind of a cool idea behind it as well, right? And then it's got 8 missions that are already sort of laid out, and away you go. And that's the whole gist of it, man. Pretty slick, eh?
Oh yeah. While we were talking and while I was listening, I went to Google's little dice roller app, and I would just sit there like pulling up and rolling like a D8 just to see what would happen, just to see what would just spinning up my own little state of affairs for my setting there at Fairview High. I actually did pretty well. Like it was all quiet, but the school was on fire. What else? It said most of the town has escaped, run off, and hidden. There's a bunch of military and invader tech. But I thought this was pretty cool, though. The enemy, it was what did I get? Like an invader core ship was hovering overhead, so you got everybody just sort of, ready and waiting for that pretty much sets the tone for the campaign, because now there's a whole bunch of tech, everybody's mostly alive and they're escaped and they're hidden, and now there's just a big ship overhead. So what does that tell me? Everybody's going to try to make a mass grab for that alien tech, and they're going to try to blast that damn ship out of the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You get those players that put the horse blinders on, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mode 1, ship down. Let's do it.
Yep. And I would totally let them too.
One of the cool parts about this is that there is what's called a living world battle map. When you're going to do your skirmishes, I guess you can do your skirmishes however you want to do it. You can get into your battles here or there, set up your logs, put down your craters and your thises and that's. But this comes with an online role-playing asset pack that's going to give you this gigantic map. It's going to give you the tokens that you need and things like that. But it also comes with like craters and fires and different things like that, if the school sort of gets attacked or something and goes up in flames, you can take one of these fire tokens and drop it right over top of the school. And the map that you're playing on actually sort of becomes like this sort of living world, which is kind of a neat sort of deal too. All sorts of good online role-playing assets and whatnot that come with this thing. And if you look at the end of it, you've got all the paper minis that you need, the stand-ups and stuff like that. What do they call these? Fold-in-halves? Kind of a deal going on there. And then you got all the craters. You got some the school bus. There's some tanks, some cars, and clouds. If you don't want your players to see a certain area, it comes with a cloud that you can set over top of like an area to sort of make fog of war, because it is a top-down kind of a view. And then you got yourself a dropship there that's kind of sweet too. Sound good? I think we should do this in riffs.
Yeah, I think this is something that would be really, really, really right up my alley. I'm just always a big fan of like the scrappy party that doesn't necessarily, they're not necessarily trained to overcome what's going on, but they have to band together and they have to use their wits and their resources to defend their little town from an alien invasion, and that's cool to me.
Yep, that's Bearcats in a nutshell. One of the things that he pumped out, man, I could not believe it. I think you could pick it up on DRIVETHRU. In fact, I'm pretty sure. I'll probably have to go check while you're saying a thing here. But that said, that's Bearcats in a nutshell. You know what we're going to talk about next time? We're going to talk about this other one that he did the one that comes after this, which is called Odium, Relics of Odium, Legends of Odium, Opium something, Opium Den. I have to look it up. I was reading it just before dinner and stuff like that, and it has that is it World of Warcraft where you got gem slots?
You can do that, but it was also Final Fantasy. I know with Final Fantasy 7 that you could put the little gem slots in your weapons and they would give you powers.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk about that next time. It has that flavor to it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's my stint, man. That's Bearcats. Check it out on DRIVETHRU. If you're not a patron of Runehammer Games, you can pick this up. Just go search for Runehammer on the DRIVETHRU RPGs, and you're golden. Throw it in any system that you want to play it in. If you're not a fan of ICRPG, you're a jackass, a jerk, and a loser anyway. So nobody cares about you, right? That's what I say.
Yeah. There you go.
Does it come across like I'm a bit of a fanboy?
No, not at all.
Perfect.
In fact, I don't think you talk about ICRPG enough.
No, I was kind of trying to simmer it down a little bit is what I'm trying to do there.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm trying to encourage you to. I'm wanting you to become a little more unhinged with your hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it would really bode well for you in the podcast if you just started screaming at everybody.
You know what? Maybe wait right here. I'm going to go get my wife, and I'm going to bring her down here, and you can tell her that I need to be a little bit more enthusiastic about my hobby, and let's see what happens.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Tell her bring her on in. And my name is Jamie Pearson. If you tell her that.
I'll be like, hey, check out this Cyclops. Can you draw a third eye in the middle of your forehead, or just keep one closed?
Yeah, I'll just keep one closed. And I'll just say you're wrong all the time.
Speaking of keeping one closed, have you watched The Tick at all on Amazon Prime?
No, I haven't, but I used to watch I've read a little bit of the comic book back in the day, and I've watched some of the cartoon that came out in the 90s, and I watched the series, a little bit of the series when it was on Fox, but I have not watched the relaunch of this one, but I might have to.
Yeah, I spent the weekend, had a little bit of time off early in the morning because I get up early all the time anyway, so I was sitting downstairs trying to be quiet. And I watched season 1 and season 2. There's like 10 episodes. They're 20 some odd minutes long, but it was actually pretty good. I was rather impressed. There's a one-eyed chick in there that's where this came from. So yeah, moving on. The Tick, never mind. What do you got for us today? What are you going to talk about? A little riffs action going on here.
All right. So what's funny since the last time that we since the time we recorded the previous version of this, they've actually released a new playtest. They've actually released Empires of Humanity. So I can actually throw in a little bit of both, action. So maybe it's a good thing that we that this happened. Maybe it was a little fate or a little destiny that caused you to delete the previous versions,
Wow.
to give us a chance to talk about some Empires of Humanity along with this Blood and Banes. But to tell you the truth, though, I'm really, really excited about Blood and Banes as far as riffs goes, because Blood and Banes, that's when you start getting into just the crazier elements. Like what I could really call, if I had to give it a subtitle, if somebody said what really Blood and Banes is about, they might as well call it Vampires and Insects. And that's pretty much what you're up against. You're up against vampires, monsters, and insects. The bulk of the book, they talk about the Zytokicks, which are this psionic insectoids that hang out in the northern Midwest, where Minnesota and Manitoba used to be, and pretty much Mexico, where it's all vampires all the time. And so that's why this book is glorious to me in that sense, because you're really starting to get a deeper dive as far as the savage riffs elements go into the weirder aspects of riffs, the more monstrous aspects of riffs in North America. And that's cool to me.
Very exciting. I do love me some riffs, man. It's top notch. It's right up there. I wish I could play it more. I wish I need more time. I need to retire.
As soon as you retire, that's what you need to do, is just pretty much just tell the wife, like, look, I'm retiring. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll a bunch of dice. You just do what you do and take care of me. I'm just going to be a big man baby until I croak,
Man
and I'm just going to roll dice.
Wow. Yeah. What? That's the problem. I don't want to be broke. Broke is not my forte.
It's not. No, I've been broke a lot longer than I've had money before, and I remember what it's like to not have money, and it's always right there on the verge. So yeah, I don't like, Daddy likes working, or Uncle likes working rather.
Captain Colin needs to make some cash money.
Right. So as far as Blood and Banes goes, man, you're gonna get some top notch. To use the parlance of the Murder Hobo, you're gonna get some top notch iconic frameworks. The first one that we pop up here is the Knight of the White Rose. And what the Knight of the White Rose is these guys, they decided that they weren't going to tolerate anybody using magic for any tomfoolery or shenanigans. So they decided to form a secret organization. And they go hang out in Mad Haven, which used to be Manhattan. And they go hang out there, and they go take care of the oppressed people of the Magic Zone. So anybody who's getting mistreated there by Dunscan, the Knight of the White Roses, they go and take care of them. They go and help them out. So that's pretty cool. So this is pretty much a whole aside from the Cyber Knight, this is another like mystical sort of do-gooder kind of iconic framework.
I feel like they stole this from Forgotten Realms' Knight of the Black Rose.
Oh, they probably did. In fact, I would say.
How dare they?
And so that's your jam too, right?
Oh,
that's
sign a brother up. I got the tattoo of Lord Soth on my arm. I love that book. Right. It was top notch, man. That guy's Fall from Grace was fantastic. And then he goes and has a glorious battle with Strahd and his dragon. I don't know if you know this, but in Strahd's castle, he has like a dragon in the entranceway that guards his place. Soth walks in. Yeah, Soth walks in the book, and the dragon attacks him, and Soth just holds out his arm like a dog, and just chomps onto his arm, and it's like just mowing him up, and Soth just starts punching it in the freaking head. Loved it. Loved it. So these guys are paladins. Then that's what their deal. Are they nutter paladins? Are they crazy or what?
No, they don't seem to be very crazy. They just seem to they get their abilities from meditation and just sort of in ritual practices and everything. But so they're not really crazy in that sense. But they're devout. And they decided that what they're going to do is they're just going to go ahead and rid they're just going to take care of the downtrodden. So, but these guys also get miracles, and they get psionics. They're invulnerable to energy, so they get a plus 20 MDC styled armor against like arcane energy and mundane style energy, which is just like electricity or fire or anything like that too. So, energy is not going to bother these guys. You want to send somebody up against a dragon breath, it's not going to hurt them.
Interesting.
These guys could be essentially your dragon killers if you want them to be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The artwork for this guy is pretty fantastic. I like that he's all laid out in gold and his eyes are sort of glowing blue. Now right. These guys aren't like crazy cultists or anything like that. Like I was saying before, they're not going to try and make you like stick like rocks in your vagina like that crazy broad that runs goop.
No.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. Crazy brother. No. Yeah, you're not going to get Gwyneth.
What's her name?
Or whatever. Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, she sells rocks that you're supposed to put in your vagina.
If somebody tells you to stick rocks somewhere in your privates, unless it's your doctor, or unless it's on my Patreon page, don't listen to them.
She sells. I think she sells a vagina steaming kit too. So when it gets all wrinkly and stuff, you can get the wrinkles out of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, here's the thing on my Patreon page. I'm actually, I got my penis straightening cream that you can get. And it takes the hair off too. So
isn't that just lube?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime I put lube in my wiener, it gets straighter.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah.
I bought one of those. I bought one of those vagina steaming kits for my scrotum. And the problem is it got so warm that my sack stretched out. So it's upstairs on the 3rd floor in my bedroom still.
Right. You just got to reel it back. You just need to get one of those things for your garden hose to reel it back in.
I'm just waiting for the temperature to drop so that it'll shrink back up.
There you go. When it goes below 40, you'll be fine.
Right now it's rolling down the stairs like a slinky.
Ever so slowly, more like a snail.
Oh, man. This show took a turn for the worse there all of a sudden.
Ooh, you know how to edit, so I'm going to let you take care of that. Okay. So these guys are cool. They go out and they beat the crap out of Mystic Knights, and Mystic Knights are sort of the jerk versions of of like Holy Knights, sort of like the anti-paladin, the unholy knight. And these guys sort of decided that they're not gonna abide by that anymore, and they're gonna take matters into their own hands. So they're cool. I can dig that. I can dig sweet holy vengeance. Now here has to be the most interesting thing that I've come across. Well, I say that, until I talk about something that comes up down the road. But when I started thumbing through this, I was like, what? They're going to let you be a necromancer? I'm like, okay, all right. So you're just going to go ahead and you're just going to be a jerk that's going to raise the dead, and you're going to be the weird freak or whatever. The typical, I'm the necromancer, that kind of character. Then I started reading a little further into this, and what really kind of appealed to me is the necromancer in this sense. It's sort of like these people started taking on this philosophy where like, well, why don't we use the dead's not doing anything? Why don't we use them to protect the living? And so why don't we send the undead, to go out and fight vampires? Why don't we send the undead to go fight the undead? So that you got these whole group of sort of like positive necromancers who use the dead to protect the living, and that's what these folks do. And what's really cool is, since it takes place in the Southwest and everything, the artwork for this is probably has to be one of my favorite pieces of art I've seen so far in Savage Rifts. It's this this necromancer with this blue eldritch energy just emanating from her hands, but she's also got that cool like that Day of the Dead makeup, the Dios de Muerto makeup on, and she's got like a ragged like ceremonial dress on it. She looks like she's ready just to race some badass zombies to whoop some vampire ass.
Mm-hmm. Very
Got
cool.
excited.
I do remember when we did this, when we re-recorded this last time, I was asking you if you've watched Z Nation, and you had said no. Have you watched any of it yet?
No, I haven't, but I might have to check it out if they got something. If this is what they got, just like we talked about, where they have something that deals with the Day of the Dead and everything.
Listen,
yeah, I might
mister,
have to watch that.
Stop not listening to me right now.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I even have to say it Canadian style. I'm sorry.
What's that all about? I gotta tell you, man, Z Nation is top notch. We talked about the cheese wheel in whatever the cheese capital is, and how it goes like you see it pop up sporadically throughout the show. Every 10 minutes or so, it's running over cows and running over cars and taking out zombies and stuff. But there is one of the Z Nations in one of the seasons. They go down to like Mexico and they run into a group of people like her, and same thing. She's all about the dead, and I don't know. They don't have mind control powers over the dead, but they somehow figure out how to control the dead, or control the zombies and stuff like that. And yeah, it was actually pretty neat. They're all dressed up in the same kind of a garb. That's what that reminds me of. Z Nation, top notch. They got pot zombies in Z Nation. Remember I told you?
That's right. Yeah, the weed zombies. That's super awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's cool. So the necromancer class. So what can you do with your necromancer power? So you can raise the dead. Can you make them do things like carry you around, or hold your luggage and stuff like that? Or what are we talking?
Oh yeah. In fact, it says right here, necromancer specialization in communion with and commanding the dead gives her the power to raise an army of the dead. But the ethical necromancer self-imposed limits prevent her from turning into a brutal murderer. So what they do is they raise the already dead. And what's cool is these they possess the artificer's edge, so they can craft devices from bones and sinew. So they can make stuff out of from what I'm getting is you can make devices from corpses. If you wanted to. That's
what?
You can make devices from corpses.
You can make like a bone carriage or something like that, and then hop in.
Yeah. If you wanted to. You got something called necromantic prodigy, which they get a free reroll when they fail on certain traits like boost lower trait and divination and zombie. So if you fail on a zombie roll, you get a free reroll.
Wow, that is awesome.
And and these folks, man, they are PPE siphoning sons of bitches, man. That's what they do, is they just draw PPE. That's the key to these guys, is they draw PPE just wherever they can. They can just store it. They can store it in like a phylactery. They can store it. Let's see here. Yeah, they also would use it in conjunction with zombies. So what they'll do is they'll draw PPE from volunteers among their friends. So they'll just sit there and draw PPE wherever, instead of so much like drawing off a ley line like a ley line walker is they draw PPE off of off of their buddies. Like, hey man, can I have some PPE so I can raise this dead dude? Because I want a taco, and this dude, apparently can make a hell of a taco.
You want to touch my PPP? My PPE?
No, I want to borrow some of your PPE. And that means, that means potential psychic energy.
Is that what that means?
Yep.
It's not my PP?
Which is funny. No, it's funny too. It's potential psychic energy, but it's actually magic energy. And ISP is psionic energy, which stands for inner strength, power.
Oh, okay. All right.
But necromancer, pretty interesting. I can dig that. Then you finally get the ability to play as a shifter. Now they've introduced these guys. You had to deal with the shifters in the Garnet Sound Gambit, and you've heard them talked about a handful of times. But now you get to play as one. You've heard about them before, but now you get to play as one, Timmy. So and these guys are essentially, if you've ever played as a summoner or ever thought about being a summoner, that's what these guys do. They open up rifts. They can they open up rifts. They pull nasty creatures out of them. They can actually use them to communicate. They talk amongst amongst each other with using this weird little rift communication ability. But yeah, that's what these guys do. They're masters of like opening portals and pulling stuff out and communicating through them. But
why do I get the what's the Marvel Universe guy that does that weird thing with the portals? He's Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Yep.
It's got that vibe to it.
Yeah. In fact, if you look at the artwork, this guy has actually got like a little magic effect that looks like he's doing that little Doctor Strange, like sort of, time manipulation sort of thing. So that's kind of cool. So that's what it looks like. So that if you wanted to play somebody who does that, who opens rifts and opens portals, and can communicate, and you can pull stuff out of there, that's what these guys do. Now, Gary, what was the first creature feature that we talked about?
I think the first one that we did was, I don't know. I know we did mummies, but the first one was vampires.
It was vampires. Well, guess what, man? In this next iconic framework, you get to be the heroic vampire.
Okay, I'm scrolling down, I'm looking at the vampire, and I'm thinking to myself, if this guy was wearing a shirt that short, his dingus would be hanging out. Right? Like,
right.
Where's his dingus?
It's it's obscured within that cloud of haze and mystery that's going on.
No. I can see right up to basically where his hips are. This guy's dingus is a micro-millimeter long, or he does not have one, or that's a she with no boobs.
I mean, that could be. I'm not one to body shame anybody if that's what they want to do, and I'm not one to genitalia shame. Unless it's somebody named Eric Lamoureux, then I can shame him all day.
Yeah,
but
his little wiener looks like a gravy-soaked piece of poutine. A couple of like a little French fry and some cheese curds with some gravy on it.
Yeah, that somebody threw out.
Found in the garbage can.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. This guy's got a tunic that's very, just barely like, it's not even like thigh length. In fact, it's like not even like mid thigh length. It's just right above, just covering, just barely covering, the hee-haw there, So I see what you're talking about.
Got to be honest with you. He looks like I just got out of the shower. That I throw on my T-shirt and I walk out with my junk dangling, trying to attract a fish, which is my wife. But that's what I look like when I get out of the shower, except fat.
But do you have like the? Well, I guess maybe because you're coming out of the shower, that's what probably that's where the cloud and the mist all comes from. And also too, you do have the the IBS too. So that
and I got the micro dingus.
So yeah, man, this you can play as a vampire who decided, maybe this this being brain dead, and maybe just the whole being a lifetime of being a murderous villain and a murderous creature from the night ain't so much my jam. So I'm going to I don't know. I'm gonna use these abilities that I have to protect innocent.
Dude, they get like a page and a half. I guess it's a page of stuff. Holy crap, man! Yeah, well, I guess they are undead. So there's some stuff on the go there. But what are the complications? Is really what I get. I mean, obviously they become full vampires, so we know they're undead. They get claws. They are invulnerable to certain things and whatnot. Fast regen, like your typical vampire and stuff like that. Yep. But what are the complications?
Perfect night vision. You get well, I think this is kind of cool. You get strength of the damned, so you're going to be a little bit stronger. You're going to be a little more hardy than the standard fare is. You get +2 to your die types. But yeah, like you said, with the undead and everything. But yes, the complications. I'd have to say the complications, even out with all of the bonuses, man. Because number one, you can't take any cybernetics as a vampy. No, you're not getting any cool. Like bioregeneration tissue. No, because your dead tissue isn't. It doesn't work with it. You got to drink a pint of fresh human or DB blood once per day. So this isn't something you got to remember. You got to ingest blood, and it's a major habit. So you're going to start getting fatigue, and you're going to start getting incapacitated if you don't drink that blood. So right off the bat, you got to do that. Here's interesting too: denial or destruction. Heroic vampires who rebel against their master vampires invariably fall, into two psychological profiles. Those who cling to the doomed hope they can regain or retain their lost souls, and those who embrace their monstrousness to destroy others of their kind. So you can either be like, oh man, I still could be a pretty young, I can still, I can still be human. I can reverse this curse. Or you could be like Blade and like, no, I'm just going to kill these MFers.
What was the name of the first girl there that you were impersonating? Does that vampire have a name?
Yeah, her name is Matt Stark.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't know. I just pulled the name up. No, that would probably be Lilith. I think that's my master vampirist, voice or whatever. Hello, I'm the master vampirist. Aren't I scary? Yeah.
You sound like Mr. Poop from friggin' South Park.
Howdy-ho. Yeah, that's all I got.
Maybe you could be vampiric poo.
Oh, dude, your poo that eats. Oh, I don't want to even think about that, man. I don't want my poo attacking me.
How did we get to be so childish? That's what I want.
I don't know, man. Because we're knocking on death's door. That's what it is. Because we're middle aged, and we see our mortality right here in front of us. And I don't want to get too deep, but that's what happens, man. I'm not going to go screaming into the dark abyss.
I've got 2 kids. Do you know how much other people's poo I've touched in my life? Lots.
Yeah, and yep, I've dealt with that too.
Do you know how
and I
much
don't have kids, so I don't know how you.
Do you know how much of my own poop I've got on the walls and the floors and everywhere?
I'm gonna say it's a lot more than I could probably want to imagine.
Mm-hmm. So, moving on. Weaknesses, decapitation, and burning. This is pretty sweet. I like how they throw this in here. Once a vampire is incapacitated via a wooden stake or a silver bullet. Oh, they don't die from wooden stakes, do they? You could stake these guys and just leave them somewhere, and they don't regen. They're just stuck there with a piece of wood in them.
Yeah, they stay incapacitated, but they don't die necessarily. You have to remove its head, and then you have to burn the body and everything. So there's a specific sort of ritual in getting rid of the vampire and rifts. But it has a ton of weaknesses, though. I mean, that's the thing. It's already going to be decapitation and burning. That's how you're going to get rid of it. And already too, if you got garlic and holy, and garlic and wolfsbane on you, you're already gonna, they take a -2 to any of that stuff, and holy symbols. If you got a cross or you got a Star of David, or you got anything that you worship, maybe I don't know. I got this 5th place Taekwondo trophy I got in the 5th grade, and so maybe that's my holy symbol. Maybe I can use that.
Hey, just do some little Taekwondo action going on there. Man, so you got weakness to garlic and wolfsbane. You got weakness to holy symbols. Your weakness to magic and psionics. Weakness to silver and wood. Weakness to the supernatural.
Weakness to water. Weakness to sunlight. But it balances out, though. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can do all this cool stuff, but you're weak to a lot of stuff.
Man, I'm going to play the Knight of the White Rose, and I'm going to get a water gun. And I'm going to take a whiz in it with my blessed holy whiz water. And that's how I'm and when you're not looking, because we're partners now, right? We're on the same team here. Yep. I'm going to squirt you in the eyeballs with my holy whiz water.
Then I have the one eye hindrance until I regenerate. And then I turn you into a holy white rose vampire.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, then we can be like eternal vampiric love mates.
I see where this is going. I'm not dismissing any of this.
Do you think that if we were turned into vampires, it would cure our colon problems?
I don't think we'd have to worry about any of that stuff again.
Vampires don't poop, do they?
Nope.
Damn, son. This is becoming more and more appealing. I mean, I could go without eating garlic if I didn't have the,
right? Yeah, but you didn't have to, run to the toilet every 10 minutes. No, I'd be all right with that. No, that doesn't carry over into vampirehood. The chronic ailments. Like, I don't think there's any diabetic, vampires or anything like that. I think it all cures. I think vampire blood or vampirism kind of like transcends all the other diseases. Now, I'll tell you what, man. We've been building up to this point right here, where you could be a vampire. You can be a shifter, you can be a necromancer, and you can be one of these cool, Knights of the White Rose. But now they have introduced the craziest and the coolest iconic framework in Rift's in Savage Rift's history, and that being the Werecat. And I'm like, man, already see, they're already starting to tap into the goth sort of they start the goth appeal with becoming a heroic vampire, and now with being a werecat, they're tapping into the furry appeal. So I'm just saying, man, I applaud Savage Risk for starting to tap into like all these different sort of subcultures. If you want to do all this stuff, if you want to be a furry, man, we'll let you be a werecat. If you want to be a goth vampire, we're gonna let you do all that. We're not gonna let you be one of these things. We're gonna let you be one of these things, cranked to 11.
This it says there's 3 different types. They've got were-jaguars,
Yep.
were-ocelots, were-panthers, but I don't see no were-cougars. Is that like an old werecat, like a hot old werecat lady?
Yeah, it's one that's 60 who drives around in a in a convertible that picks up younger were-ocelots.
Wow. Oh man. All right, what can these guys do?
You can usually see the were-cougars hanging out at the Costco, in the wine section, loading up for the weekend. That's usually what happens. So that's what happens. But no, the were-jaguars are like, these are the big guys. These start off with a big strength. They have they're the stronger of the kitties. The were-ocelots are like the smaller ones, so they have the thief edge. So these are the cats that are the ones that run around. These are the ones that steal your damn socks. And you can't find your socks. You're like, what the hell happened? And you look under the bed and you see like a whole like treasure trove full of socks. You're like, well, no wonder. Like, that's what kitten, that's what Mittens is doing. Is making a little, sock, palace underneath your bed. Not that that's ever happened to me. Then it talks about the were-panthers and the were-panthers. These sort of these are spellcasting werecats. Not only are the werecats, you can transform into a cat. And you can kill vampires, but now they're going to let these sumbitches cast magic too.
That's pretty sweet. I got an 18-year-old kid, and anytime I find a sock in his room, I get a little worried. That goes right into the trash. It does not go back on my foot.
No, you have to pick those up with a pair of like hazardous material tongs, and you have to put on the hazmat suit. And you have to dispose of that quick.
Pick them up. I slide a metal sheet underneath it, just spray it with lighter fluid. take care of that right now.
Incinerated on contact.
Right. Put on my gas mask so I make sure I don't get any particles in my face. I see they got some pretty cool stuff that they can do here. I kind of wonder why they just didn't go with where ... instead of putting cat at the end. Is there a reason they wouldn't have just made like, so you could be like a were-beaver or like a were-giraffe or something like that? Why not? Why limit it?
Well, here's the thing too. I want to say that when we tapped into, or when we looked at the Rifts Canada book a couple months back, that you could actually be were-beavers and you could do all that stuff too. So I think what they're trying to do is just sort of accentuate this area, the south region where the cats and all the vampires hang out. Because I think right now these are just like focusing on like, these are things that are going to kill vampires. And then eventually we're going to start talking about like, the were-beavers, which I don't, what's a were-beaver's natural enemy?
I am, man, what eats beaver besides me?
Right.
Oh. I don't know. Let me look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. We don't have too many beaver down here in Tennessee. Maybe there's a handful of them. I don't know. But so they give you some pretty nice little Mars options too. They get, if you want to play something that was you can play as a dinosaur hunter is what I'm getting at. And you can play as a vampire hunter, and you can actually play as a barbarian. They actually just throw that out at you. It's like, all right, so no beating around the bush here. You can play as a barbarian, and these are these old timey barbarians that came out from Atlantis, and they've just sort of commune with the the wilderness and everything, and they just go out and they've been hunting and taking care of all these nasty beasts, and so that's what they're offering here. You got the dinosaur hunter Mars background, the vampire hunter one. And then you got a couple of new races that you can be. Now you can be the centaur, which they start talking about, which they show off here in the book, which looks like a cyber horseman, which is, these guys are sort of like, centaurs with, robotic sort of like lower halves. And they talk about like how you can become one of these guys. So that's cool. You can be a centaur, except what I'd end up being is I'd be a reverse centaur. Is like I would have like the human lower half, and then the horse top half.
Isn't
Have you ever seen one of those?
No, that's not a minotaur. A minotaur's cow on top.
Right.
Human on the
Minotaur's
bottom.
cow on top. Yep. But a reverse centaur is a horse on top and human on the bottom. Yeah, you get the worst of both worlds with that.
It sounds like it. You're like one of those bobbleheads that you see in the dashboard. Like your upper half is just all like massive, and you have this scrawny little waist that you just sort of like wobble around everywhere.
Yeah, you don't even have you don't even have the best feature of like having the lower half of the horse. So yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's me. I got the top half of a horse and the bottom half of a micro-weenist white old man.
Well, if this makes you feel any better, you could probably commune with these guys. And these guys, which pretty much, I want to say these guys are knocking on your back door right now, so to speak. And that's the Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch, if I had a spirit animal, that's what these guys would be. Because you know what? They don't want to be messed with. They just hide. And they hang out, and they go out and they just eat a bunch of mushrooms. I mean, and they're like defenders and peacekeepers of the forest. How cool is that? They hang out with cyber knights, and they just they take care of they take care of the forest. And if you look at this, if you look at the picture that they have for the Sasquatch, I would say this is the equivalent of John Rambo, the Sasquatch. This guy's got a bandana on. He's got some feathers in his beautiful mane there, and he was holding some sort of I don't know. That looks like some sort of energy rifle to me. But this guy's this is the John Rambo Sasquatch. This guy's a badass.
He looks like Chewbacca without the what do you call that? The tassel that goes across his chest.
Yeah, that bandolier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a lot like Chewbacca.
Also,
but man, I'd say
micro-weenus. Where's the guy's junk?
Well, here's the thing too, what you're forgetting to realize is, I'm sure the Sasquatch is like the dog, where they tuck in, and when they get excited, it pops out.
Somebody's been paying a little bit too much attention to dog bits.
No, I just know anatomy, and you're always talking about I'm coming up with the answers. You're always asking where the wieners and where the where the things are. I'm just trying to use science to explain it and saying this is like a dog.
Okay.
Maybe I do spend a lot of time with some other people's dogs. That's for me to worry about, Gary.
All right, cool. I like to get drunk with my buddy and just look at my dog's junk.
Take pictures of it, show it to them. Like, oh,
post to Instagram. Isn't there like check out my dog? There's a dog Instagram or something that's super famous. It's called like Dog a Day or something like that. Mm-hmm. You can take pictures of your cute animal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my fiance is always on she's always looking at cats on Instagram whenever she's having a crap day at work. She'll do is like, here's a cat, and I'm like, there you go. That's all you got to do is just look at cats and dogs on Instagram and instantly feel better.
Oh, jeez, if it was only that easy.
Right.
All right, cool. So now the Sasquatch guy, he's what does he fall under? He's under the Mars. So
he's a race. So you can actually pick a Sasquatch, and you can actually turn him into it. Well, they can't really. He wouldn't be a Sasquatch crazy. I mean, you wouldn't make him a juicer because they have cyber resistance, but you could totally make him. They have psionics, so you know what would pretty. You could actually turn this guy into like maybe a Sasquatch mind melter down the road. Or something like that. Maybe he's, maybe you got, Ugg the Sasquatch who's so in tune with psionics that he ends up just becoming a master of psionics, and he ends up like, bending the force to his mighty psionic will.
Yeah, I don't see anywhere in here where it says that this guy is the world hide and seek champion though. No bonus. Right. No bonuses to stealth or hiding or any of that kind of stuff going on in here.
No, I must have been looking at something else, but I thought there was something too where they could like walk through the woods or something, and they weren't going to get recognized. But I that might have been looking at something else. But yeah, no, I'm with you. They should have some kind of bonuses to like being totally hidden.
Right? Yeah. So we got some cool new edges. We got dimensional portal. Spend 8 gazillion PPE, usually harnessed through a materialist magic ritual. And then you get to go somewhere. Yeah.
So yeah, this gives you the option. Once you're once you're a veteran and master of magic, and you already have teleport. So pretty much like if you imagine being on a ley line, side of ley line energy where you can channel as much PPE as you want to, 200 PPE, you can essentially open up a portal, and you and your folks are going someplace.
Now, does it say that you have to know or have already been there one time to get there, like in World of Warcraft again?
What it says is with a successful arcane skill roll at -4, the portal opens up to a previously visited dimension or previously visited region of the current dimension. So, but on a raise, you can actually you can actually hit an exact desired point. But if you fail, that's where that's where the portal just sort of like, oops, where are you going to end up? Realm of pure evil, an elemental plane overflowing with a dangerous capital H hazard.
Capital H hazard. Yeah. In both instances, it does say that you previously have to have visited the location you're trying to go to. I like that restriction. So this is full on like World of Warcraft, where you got to run from like Stormwind to Ironforge kind of a thing, and then that's when you can fly there after you did that kind of a deal. Right. Yeah. You're not going to go to Ironforge or anything like that. Just you have to go there first. So yeah. Gardener of the White Rose. So you now I can be a gardener in game. Yeah. What you end up doing is this sort of gives an edge to the White Rose, the Knights of the White Rose. Those who devote their time in the garden. And the garden is like this big place in Madhaven where just all of this crazy flora and fauna just sort of happen. Well, there's these alien plants that are hanging out too, and so the gardeners can harvest these and get some healing miracle power. So once a day they can create like a healing brew or a poultice from the white rose cuttings, and then you can make a successful healing roll, and it imbues the remedy with healing power with PPE equal to half of the knight's total. So yeah, it's essentially making a potion or a poultice. Having the ability to do that. So that's pretty handy. It's not bad. I'm not a fan of the word poultice. It reminds me too much of chicken. So when you're saying that out loud, in addition, once per day, a gardener can create a healing brew or a chicken from white rose cuttings. Right. He's going to slap a turkey leg on you, and next thing you know, you're going to be healed, like the poultry of healing. No, I agree with you. Or it's a weird word. You've got salmonella, and you're dying on a cosmic scale. Right. So a lot of these edges too are sort of focused on some specific iconic frameworks. Like we have the Master Necromancer, which allows you to raise a stronger type of zombie or skeleton. If you are a heroic vampire or werecat, you can pounce, which this is kind of cool. It doubles your normal jumping distance and adds a +4 to damage when making a wild attack when coupled with a leap. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty slick. I'm envisioning looking up in the air and seeing this vampire come down with his claws. His arms outstretched, his claws looking at you. You see this look of I need a pint of your finest. And this is a novice little edge too. So this is something you can take this is one you could take at creation if you wanted to. So you can make your werecat, or your heroic vampire double deadly. That's a good little edge. I like those little ones. And then we got some arcane edges, or not some arcane, but some shifter edges, which allow certain arcane abilities to occur when you're using your shift ability. You get some free abilities when you go ahead and you shift the arcane. So that's pretty interesting too. This one when I read. So stop reading it verbatim, there, guy. Let's get on with the show here. You got some professional edges. Beast Rider. Yeah, no, I got hung up, man. It was pretty nice. There's some really nice edges that kind of go into play. But here's some of the ones that I was kind of interested in. You hear them talk about the different classes and classes and OCCs and they're called OCCs and OG riffs. Now we actually get to be some of these ones that they talk about, like being a Reed's Ranger, where if you're a vampire killer, you can become a Reed's Ranger. You can be a Tundra Ranger. The Tundra Rangers of Canada. You can be one of those. Vampire killer. You can take one of these professional edges, elite vampire killer.
So that's what it goes on to do. Is it's sort of like these enhanced your already established like iconic framework with these professional edges.
Yeah, that's cool. You missed the best one, dude. The best one is Squire of the White Rose. You play the knight, and I'll be the squire. And my entire like deal is just me like shining your sword, polishing your your junk.
Yep. And you have a mind link with that with your squire. And so if you have the knight just sort of falls into danger, it's like, come rescue me, little Timmy.
You wouldn't have to say out loud what you're thinking in your head, which would be, come over here, squire, and shine my codpiece while I still wear it.
That's exactly it. Come hither. Come hither, yon squire.
Don't forget to fetch the white roses. Bring them to me.
Now, let me ask you this, Gary. Would you consider yourself a gear guy as far as RPGs go?
I'm a full-on gear guy. It is my favorite part of ICRPG is the ability to create your character using gear. I love it.
I can see sort of modular. You can stack things on top of it. You're going to get different abilities, and you're going to get different bonuses depending on what kind of gear it is. So, you can take those things away, and you can add and subtract. So, yeah, I can dig that. They give you the option too. There's always some pretty sweet gear in the new Rift stuff. They're already throwing out some new body armor too, and you're getting some Western style body armor with this Brannigan armor, which it looks like just standard old Bushman armor, but it's got like what this is known for. It's got an armor plated, with some armor plating. It's got an armor plated duster, and it's got a nice little stylish bandito hat that comes with it. So, this is going to give you, if you are absolutely positively have to travel through New West and have to have some sort of dermal protection, do not go without your Brannigan armor.
It's not as cool as this one. Vampire Water Field, also called a portable shower. This simple device adds a layer of protection against vampires. Basically, one comes up on you, bam, man, you turn the waterworks on there, and your vampire is trying to suckle on your neck hole there, and boom, all of a sudden he's taking a hot friggin' shower of holy demise and death and desecration.
Yeah, that's what he gets too for trying to suck on you, and all you're trying to do is stay clean and fresh out there in the New West too. So yeah. That's awesome.
You know when it gets really hot in some of those places down south, they have those misters. That's what you need. A vampire water mister, not a water field, but just a mister. It's you got to conserve, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, just have one of those little things, and as soon as one of those bloodsuckers gets close to you, psh, it's gone.
Power armor and robot vehicles. The NG Northern Gun XF-103 firefighter. This guy looks freaking fantastic.
I always got a kick out of like the old style armor that looks like this too, where it's all sort of rounded out and it looks kind of bulky and and looks where it looks like they're almost made of lead. This heavy duty armor where it's all all kind of like roboted out. Yeah, but this guy's got like a huge water or environmental, I guess that's what it is. It's a main water tank on his back, integrated water cannon, and small laser for cutting, getting through any debris if he's, trying to rescue somebody. But yeah, these guys essentially can go out and fight. I mean, they call them firefighter armor, but let's be real here. These guys are also killing vampires too because they have they attach silver knuckle spikes to their gauntlets when they're going out and fighting fires too, so.
Pounding some skulls, man. That's pretty sweet. There's some style and new gear. You can get a coffin, like a field coffin, that you can throw out in the middle of the whatchamacallit there when you're out hanging around. Everybody's maybe setting up the campfire. You crack out your coffin, roll on in there. I guess you wouldn't need it at nighttime, would you? That really wouldn't make a lot of sense.
No, but I mean, maybe. If you're a reverse vampire, maybe you want to, catch some Z's before you. No, that's not going to work. I can't even pretend that.
Okay, so carrying on, scoot down to page 45. The Zitakicks.
Yeah, man. They really go into this little. We kind of get into a gazetteer where it talks about these little field reports about them going out there and investigate the Zitakicks And what's really interesting is they show that there's obviously a person, and this is not. I kind of tripped out when I first saw this, and then I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. It's somebody that essentially has like stripped out all the goo and everything from a Zeta-Kick and make Zeta-Kick armor.
Yeah, it looks awesome, man. That looks fantastic.
Yeah, he's got like this person's got a spear and the wings. I don't know if the wings probably don't work, but they're really, really pretty cool ceremonially. And it's got like the head of the insect there is like it's a helmet, and so that's really, really freaking sweet. But yeah, it goes into this is sort of like a field reporter, like somebody scouting, the Zeta-Kick or whatever in their natural habitat, and it's going on to say that these there's certain they have drones, and they have drones named diggers, and they have leapers, and they have the hunters and everything. So it kind of breaks it down and like field journal style, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. This is really cool because it really does break down the Zeta-Kicks like in full detail. Tells you what they are, gives you like the hive structure, the environment where they live, some of the stuff on their biology and stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you ever run a campaign where you have to fight these things, there's even hive politics and stuff like that. That's pretty neat in there. Yeah, that's cool.
You can always have one of theirs a rogue scholar. You can always say that this, you have a rogue scholar that's out there that's been monitoring all this Zeta-Kick activity, and he's got this is one of his journal full of all this all this information in there.
Yeah, that's sweet. It's good because if you're coming to Rifts and you want to know about these things rather than just say they're like mindless insects or whatever, here you go. Here's all your info on it. That's pretty cool. Mad Haven. So this is all about Mad Haven, what it is, where it's at, who's there, why they're there, what they're doing.
Yep. Mad Haven's essentially what used to be Manhattan, New York. They still talk about checking out Yankees games and everything like that too, but it's mainly just a big old monster hub now. And the Knights of the White Rose, they actually hang out. There, and they try to do some protecting, but that's sort of like their little hidden base where they hang out, and they go out and they protect people down in the Magic Zone. Then who would have I mean, let's be real here. This is going to happen. Where I think this is going to happen a lot sooner than people think. But Florida and Georgia of the United States, it's already a swamp anyway. But I mean, they're just they've just cranked it up. To where they're just saying the dinosaurs are coming back here. And I'm just waiting for that to happen because, I mean, with all the stuff going on, when you got people taking bath salts and you got, like, Florida Man doing all that crazy stuff down there, it might as well be dinosaur swamp down there already.
You got to look up that girl on YouTube, Carolina something or other.
Right.
She does this whole thing on STDs. And it's so funny, man. She takes her kid to the water park, and she's like, "It is Florida after all." And her kid got an STD, and so she's like, "What did you expect, you little dummy? You're at a water park in Florida. I mean, essentially, it's just piss anyway."
Right? Yeah, it's 98% urine.
Right? It was like. I can't remember what that girl's name is. Carolina something or other. She's this weird comedian chick on YouTube that did some funny stuff on Florida. Basically calls Florida like a total shithole, which is
right. Yeah, what she said, I caught the one too where she says it's Florida's America's flaccid penis, Florida, and then she calls Maine America's working penis. So I thought that was pretty funny too. Yeah, she's hilarious. But Dinosaur Swamp, man, this is I don't want to. I can just imagine like dinosaurs are going to hang out somewhere that's really, really, really humid, and I can just imagine. In fact, it's already just screaming out at me like the high levels of humidity trap the heat in the forest and swamps and the marsh. It's already humid enough where I live, man. I just don't want to even think about how much more humid it is there. You can have it, man. I'll let the dinosaurs have Florida and Georgia and all that too. Let them go hunt it. I'm not hanging out down there.
You peace out, right? You're not having any of it.
Deuces. I'm not hanging out with like if it's an environment ripe for dinosaurs. I'm out, man. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Calgary and the Monster Kingdom. Tell me about Hell Lord Doom.
Hell Lord Doom, the coolest MFer I've ever seen in my life. Now, Hell Lord Doom. This guy is he's the one who opened up the when the story goes, when the rifts opened up there in Canada and all the demons flooded out, they were all like fighting and scrapping to see who was who was going to take over. But then Helllord Doom, just came out there and united all the forces, and so now he's pretty much uniting. He's getting all these demons together and everybody, all these monsters that spilled out of the rifts there in Calgary. He's trying to unify them, and if he does it, it's probably going to be one of the most dangerous forces to encounter that the Tomorrow Legion would have to encounter there in North America.
Wow, that's crazy. Dude, we have barely put a dent in the stuff that's in this book. Like, there's like 200 pages and we're on 64 and we're an hour and a half into the pod. Mm-hmm. That is freaking crazy. Let's sum this thing up and tell me some cool stuff. So this book also contains all of the information you need to know about certain locations, not only the dinosaur swamp, but like the vampires of the Southwest, more stuff on the Zitakicks. Like, this goes into great detail about all of these things, which is fantastic.
Sums up all the weird, nasty, monstrous stuff that's happening in North America. You got the Mutant Lands, which consists of dinosaur swamp down there in Florida and Georgia and everything like that too. It talks about the vampire kingdoms. It talks about the monster kingdom. So everything, Blood and Banes, this whole book's going to talk about anything creepy crawly, anything bloodsucky. That's what you got to worry about. And they have a whole chapter just on the Zidakick.
No,
just
I
on
see
everything.
that.
We got just a little snippet, just a little snippet of what's going on. But no, you get a big, like, almost 20-page chapter full of what the Zidakick do, and the Mutant Lands too. So you're getting a big chunk of information about that whole area.
This is absolutely insane, the stuff that's in here. Chapter 7, the Mutant Lands and stuff like that. I'm in there. There's some stuff, more stuff on the dinosaur swamps and what's going on in there. Tomorrow Legion in the Mutant Lands. I'm interested in the Mutant Land stuff. Savage Collectors. Mm-hmm. The artwork in the book is fantastic too. I see that they still have some stuff that may be sort of put in or taken out. Yeah. Chapter 8, the Calgary Monster Kingdom. Look at this werewolf with a freaking green, crazy, psionic, like, lash whip kind of a weird thing going on there.
Right.
I see there's Helllord Doom is thrown in there. They've statted him out on 125. Ooh, I just got to the Vancouver and British Columbia were wiped off the face of the earth. Sorry, McCallum. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, that's... wow, it doesn't say that, but...
yeah, you can read between the lines. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much saying that.
Vancouver Island made it.
My favorite piece of artwork, and I'm not exaggerating here, my favorite piece of artwork is this on page 128, where it's some sort of this is right out there in Vancouver Islands, and it's creeping down in my neck of the woods, like Whidbey Island and in the San Juans and whatever, where you got all the orchids and everything swimming out there, and it looks like it's got one of those. Forgive me, I want to say it's one of those swimmy dinosaurs. I want to say it's like a Brachiosaurus or something, or it might be one of that. What's the name of that thing that swims up in the lake out where you're from?
Ogopogo is the one in Penticton.
Right, maybe that's Ogopogo that's out there that's throwing
This thing's got like a bit of a shark's head to it. I would call this Sharka Swimolotopus.
Yeah, I would too. But he's throwing an orca up in the air. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting out of it. It looks like he's throwing an orca up in the air while others are trying to swim and converge upon it. But it looks like he's throwing this one up in the air so he can catch it and eat it.
Yep, like orcas do to seals in those horrible YouTube videos that make me cry.
Yeah, because the seals are so cute.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's weird when you're watching them and you're going to the bathroom at the same time, because pooing and crying is not cool.
No, it's not. It's never a good time.
I had to stop watching those videos while I was going to the can.
Dude, I'm telling you, you get 20 pages worth of plot point campaign.
Oh yeah. Have you read any of that stuff?
I have not read any of it because what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is all kind of like hemmed up first. But I'm going to start thumbing through it. No, mainly the adventure is always the last thing that I take a look at after I get done, because I always want to take a deeper dive into those because I'm just fascinated like how the campaigns are set up and how the campaigns are structured. I usually take a glance at all the other stuff, or I usually first I'll always check out the bestiary. I'm always going to pour through that first, and I want to see what they're going to stat up. I'm going to take a look at the iconic frameworks, and I will tackle the adventures last. But no, I have not read this, but I tell you what, the fact that we're getting a substantial plot point campaign, and not just one of the books, but all three of the books, that's a good day for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a win-win. Wrapping it up with the bestiary in the back of the book, you got quite a few animals that have been added here, a bunch of dinosaurs. You've got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This is that whatchamacallit from Ghostbusters. It's that guy.
Yeah, it's Slimer.
Slimer, but he's even more chunked out.
Yeah, it's Slimer after the Chinese buffet.
Right? Hey, he's been eating good. Giant rune worm. You got some mummy action, phantom wolves, vampire masters, and
Vampire Master has 3 pages worth of stats on him. That's how masterful this guy is.
Yeah, some werewolf, the Wendigo, the Zidikicks are in the back of the book. The Zidikit artwork in this is actually pretty cool. That's pretty neat, man.
Yeah, I'm really tickled about all the. I'm really tickled at all the artwork. Like you look at the Zidikit nanny with her little babies, like I want some milk. Like they don't drink milk. Get out of here. Throw that baby up against the wall.
Turn it into some freaking jelly or something like that.
Yeah, it's
very cool, man. So that's Riff's Blood and Banes in a nutshell. And we're going to put a pin in this episode because we're like an hour and a half into this, and we've gone way long. I try and keep these suckers a little shorter, but I'm telling you, when we get together, it's always like retarded poo jokes and other dumb things that we say all the time.
Can't help it, man. It's just, this state of the affairs. We start talking about RPGs, and it devolves or evolves depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're going to pull the pin on the creature feature and the lies that we were going to talk about, and we're going to get straight into the outro. Show topics, man. Not show topics, show notes, outro contact info, I should say. Let's do that. So, that's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo Show. We hope you enjoyed it and the new change to the show. I got to change this because if I keep saying the same thing over and over again, it's going to get a little bit rhetorical and ridiculous. So that said, if you like the show, drop us a line, let us know. If you don't, we don't want to hear from you. You can stuff it. And if you got something funny or schmarmy to say, you can drop us an email to the special priority email hotline at writeinthebin@hotmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Murder Hobo Show, or you can get Uncle Jay and I over on MeWe, which is generally where I hang out. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel if you're into playing tabletop simulators and want something a little more cool, like a sweet-ass 3D environment. I do all sorts of stuff on that.
Yeah, links to the things we talked about can be found in the show notes at murderhoboshow.podbean.com. You can also find the great Nerds International shows at MeWe as well. And you get such classics as 3T RPG podcasts. Mm-hmm. You like those fellas, don't you? One of the best. I'd rank it up there as far as like with Vincent Van Gogh. It's phenomenal. Please do yourself a favor and check this out. In fact, I'd almost go as far as say, like, if you got a little bit of money, throw maybe a little bit of money at this because it's something special.
Yeah. Also check out my other podcast, not mine, but our other podcast, The Wild Eye. We do that. We got a Genesis podcast called Finding the Narrative. We got what else we got? We got Imaginary Ramblings with Matthew.
Yep, and we got the brewery. That's whenever Pearson decides to do that. Whenever he gets a wild hair up his ass and decides to stop playing with his dolls and actually contribute to the fold.
Actually, I think he did a little bit of a show tonight.
Oh, did he? Oh, well, good for him, man. I was wondering when he was going to do something.
You didn't miss much. You got to come here and listen to and talk about poop jokes and Riff's the best setting ever, and ICRPG, which is better than Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
All the truer words can never be spoken.
All right. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to have another action-packed episode where we're going to talk about all the things we didn't talk about in this episode. And we're going to pretend that we know what we're talking about. Try and sound professional while we're doing it. And other than that, have a great gaming week. We're out of here. Say goodbye, Uncle Jay.
Adios, folks.
Yes. The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are on property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2019. All rights reserved.